So for Parikshit Maharaj, how he came to Krishna consciousness was in the womb of the mother. He saw Krishna directly, and then he was searching for Krishna. So it is described his fortune was Tasmat Namna Vishnurata iti loki bhavishyati. Na sandeho mahabhava mahabhava. His name given, one of the names given to Parikshit was Vishnu Rata. What does Vishnu Rata means? One who is protected by Vishnu. That was one of his key names, Vishnu Rata. And he loved that name because it always made him feel grateful that Krishna protected me. That was one of his identities. I was protected by Krishna, Vishnu Rata. But as soon as he was in the peak of youth, he was going out into the forest to hunt, and he saw a sage meditating. He wanted to drink some water. The sage did not respond. It was an apparent insult. The sage did not intend to insult. The sage was just busy. He was absorbed in his meditation. But Parikshit felt offended, and then he picked up a dead snake and put it around that sage, Shamikrishi. The sage's son felt offended by this, and he cursed Parikshit to die in 7 days and 7 nights. Parikshit had the power to counteract that curse. So now this is where, things become interesting. Parikshit was cursed. He was actually subject to that curse. Now the important thing is what would be his reaction. Because when we go through a certain situation, how we decide to react can define many things. So Parikshit could have reacted with revenge because he was a Kshatriya, he was a warrior, he was a trained warrior. Parikshit Maharaj could have reacted politically by fighting back. He could have reacted emotionally by breaking down and crying and, thinking why I have to go through this injustice, this is not fair, why this happened to me and me only and this and that. That could be another way he could have taken. And when situations happen, we do react in different ways because the circumstances put us in that situation. We have to react, but which way we react, that's important. Right? I was, taking a flight from Mumbai, and I had a couple of devotees from US with me, and I was taking them to show a college preaching program at IIT Kharagpur, which is 3 hours away from Calcutta. So when we took the flight, everything was okay. But when we landed, it was announced that that day is Kolkata Bandh and no vehicles will move. So I got out of the flight. We were welcomed with garlands by our host. So I said, so today program is cancelled, right? Because it is Kolkata Bandh, it is Bengal Bandh. They said, no, program is on. I said, but how we will go to Kharagpur, 3 hours? They said, we have come to pick you up in an ambulance. And we will go in an ambulance. So my two friends from America were shocked. Why are we entering an ambulance? I said, it's too difficult for me to explain. Right now you just come with me. Bandh means people will throw stones also, you don't know. But even if they do, we are in the right vehicle. So we were driving by, and then someone stopped us. I was sitting in front, my two friends were in the back. So they said, we have to check who's behind. I said, go have a look. So my two friends, after being welcomed with garlands and after having a good breakfast, were sleeping peacefully. This guy looked in and said, may their soul rest in peace. And we reached Kharagpur within 3 hours. That's called out of box. Out of box thinking. So when you are faced with the situation, you have to respond in some way. So therefore, our typical responses arise out of mind, intelligence, or ego. Can there be responses which arise from the soul? That is the proposal which Srimad Bhagavatam is bringing forward. That your responses need not be always political or emotional. They could be devotional also. So the case studies of devotional response is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, beginning with the hearer of Bhagavatam, Parikshit, who being a full-fledged, politically competent warrior, he decided to take on the fight at another level. He decided, rather than me fighting the son of the sage, let me take on a fight with death itself. So he had a choice to fight Shringi or fight death. He chose to take on the fight and conquer death. And therefore he revealed that death is a problem which can be conquered and solved. So 6 people are born on the globe every second, 3 people die every second. So nobody can deny that death is a reality. And we are just at the end or about to see the end of the pandemic, hopefully. And we have seen so many deaths like never before. So then the Srimad Bhagavatam also becomes extremely relevant. If someone can bring you with a proposal that death is a problem which can be solved. So that's what Parikshit, he decided to take that route. And he approaches the sages and says to them, help me conquer this death. What are the duties of a person at the time of death? And in preparation for that, how does he prepare all his life? Tasyaiva meghasya paravaresho vyasakta chittasya grihesha bhikshnam nirveda mulo dvijapurupo yatra prasakto bhayamashu bhakti. So he says, I am grateful that the Lord has put me in this situation so that I can actually detach myself from all these other responsibilities and focus on how I can conquer death. So then, amongst the sages comes Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Yasoda-dulal. And he says, I will help you prepare for the next 7 days and 7 nights. To curate your consciousness to conquer death. And so he begins speaking that literature which has the cure for death, the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he begins right from the second canto, Varyan Eshate Krishna Krato Lokam. But your question is very relevant. And so the 10 topics described in the Bhagavatam is Atra Sarga, creation, Visarga, subcreation, Sthanam, how as per our desire we get residence in different places in the universe. Poshanam is the government takes care, but the father takes care in a personal way. So therefore, if one becomes a devotee, what are the special privileges one gets? Utaya, Shubh, Ashubh, Ichha, positive and negative desire, 7th canto. Hiranyakashipu represents negative desires, Prahlad represents positive desires. Sthanam, Poshanam, Utaya, and then we come to the 8th canto, Manvantara. That within this world, as the soul is going through struggle, the Lord is always there to support, to handhold, to help. So he doesn't just leave the soul aside, he's there. So he comes in different incarnations. And so Ishanupatha, the Lord's pastimes, Nirodha, which refers to the final annihilation, the destruction. Even when the universe gets destroyed, the soul's ambition and ego doesn't get destroyed. And therefore, it is more difficult to destroy stubbornness than to destroy the universe. And so the 4 types of annihilations are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Bhagavatam specifically focuses on Atyantika Pralaya, the means by which the ego, the false ego, can be destroyed. And then the 10th canto describes the 11th canto describes Mukti, and 10th canto Ashraya. The perfection of how life will be in the spiritual world. As I said, spirituality is like tourism. Before you book your hotels and flights, you need to get a glimpse of what the experience will be, right? Only a glimpse of that experience and, various feedbacks, testimonials of people who have gone through inspires you to embark on a similar journey. So the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto has all those testimonials, has all the experiences. So these are the 10 topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam to help us make the choice of following through on that journey. So then, now we zoom in onto the 8th canto and the various descriptions of how Krishna helps the soul is described, beginning with the pastime of Gajendra. How Gajendra is a very powerful person, as an elephant, everything going good for him, but suddenly he is stuck in a situation where he is caught by the crocodile and is unable to free himself. He faces death and then ultimately cries out to the Lord and takes shelter of the Supreme Lord. So in that pastime of Gajendra, Gajendra offers one prayer which describes how Krishna provides protection. So the theme of today's Bhagavatam discussion is how the highest form of welfare is that welfare which connects us to Krishna's mercy and protection. And the theme is centered around the pastime where the demons and the demigods, who are in constant battle, they are advised by Lord Vishnu. The demigods are advised by Lord Vishnu that you have to churn the ocean of milk and get nectar. That will make you powerful. But to do that churning, you need the demons also to participate. The demigods, we don't like the demons. So what if you don't like them? Sometimes you have to collaborate with people you don't like. Only then the churning can begin also. So you have to collaborate. So on the advice of Lord Vishnu, they come together. Both are thinking, when the nectar comes, we will drink. We will cheat the other party. But they shake hands. So it is a proper political diplomatic collaboration. With 100% cheating intention in mind. So these pastimes reveal that these intentions to cheat, they are not something new. They have always existed. So when they start the churning process, so that is what is described, that, to begin the process of churning, they have to bring this huge mountain. Okay, so the Lord tells Garuda, you pull this mountain and place it on the back, because demigods and demons try to pull this mountain up, but the mountain is so huge, the weight of that mountain crushes all of them. So they are, unable to do anything. So the Lord mercifully pulls that mountain out, places it on Garuda, and brings to the milk ocean. And when he brings and keeps it there, at that point he tells Garuda, now you leave. Why he tells Garuda to leave? Because the Lord is now going to call the snake Vasuki to become the churning rope. And Vasuki and Garuda can't deal with each other. Because when Garuda sees Vasuki, he sees lunch. So therefore they are enemies. So therefore Lord says to Vasuki, to Garuda, you leave. And Garuda also does not argue. He just agrees. He agrees to leave because he understands that this is the situation. So sometimes for a service to move ahead, it is better for two people to stay away than to be there. And then constant conflicts happen. Right? So, Srila Prabhupada was in Kumbh Mela. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj came running to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, Prabhupada, there is a big conflict. Prabhupada said, what happened? We were having a philosophical discussion, and that discussion blew into a full-fledged conflict. Prabhupada said, what is the discussion? So Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Madhur Vishya Prabhu, he said, the difference between Krishna and Balram is Krishna is black and Balram is white. Prabhupada said, he's right. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, but Yamuna Devi, she's saying the difference between Krishna and Balram is only Krishna enjoys with Radharani, not Balram. Prabhupada said, she's right. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Prabhupada, both are saying two different things. How can both be right? Prabhupada said, you are right. He got bewildered. Prabhupada, what is the right answer? Prabhupada said, you decide. And then Prabhupada said, they call me Prabhupada, but they treat me like problem pad. And another time Prabhupada said, don't treat me like a question answer machine. So yes, Garuda was there. He was always serving the Lord for ages. But in this particular situation he was told, can you serve us by getting out, by staying away. So he didn't feel offended that, oh, what's this? I'm being asked to get out. Okay, no problem. Which was very difficult to do because he wanted to witness this beautiful Leela. It was historic, the journey. But as part of his mandate which was requested, he left. And then the Lord manifested himself because now that mountain has to rest somewhere. So the Lord himself manifested as Kurma. Okay, so you have verses here. So can you go to 8.7.8? So now our session for this particular chapter, we'll just take you through. Vilokya Vignesha, that one? Okay, so you repeat after me. Vilokya Vignesha Vidhim Tadeshvaro Duranta Viryo Vitatabhisandhi Kritva Vapur Kachchapamadbhutam Mahat Pravishya Girim Ujjahara. So, Vilokya means seeing. So the Lord saw that the mountain needs to rest on something. The second word is very interesting. Vignesha Vidhim. Vigna means obstacle. Vignesha means one who has full grip and control over any obstacle which may come. He can size up that situation perfectly. Vignesha Vidhim means, and he has an appropriate solution for that. Right? That's what all of you are doing in your job. For every problem you're trying to provide. Yes, our company has the best solution. Vignesha Vidhim means, for this obstacle there is this solution. So he saw the method possible when there is an obstacle. Vignesha Vidhim means seeing the right method or solution when there is an obstacle. So, Duranta Virya means one who is unlimitedly powerful. Second, Vitathabhisandhi, whose determination is infallible, means one whose desire is always fulfilled. That is the meaning of Vitata Abhisandhi. So, that Supreme Lord, Kritva Vapuhu Kachchapam, took the form of a tortoise. Adbhutam Mahat, it was not an ordinary tortoise, it was transcendental tortoise, known as Kurmadev. Pravishya Toyam, he enters into the water of the milk ocean. Girim, the mountain. Ujjahara, he is holding that mountain, lifted it. Okay. So therefore, the first quality which we see in the Lord manifesting, we will see 5 qualities which the Lord manifests, and 5 qualities which Lord's devotee, Lord Shiva, manifests. So as part of his service to his devotees, the Lord is resourceful. Lord is the Supreme Personality of resourcefulness. Any problem? He has the solution appropriately. Okay. Now you go to 11th verse. So the demigods, demons are enlivened to churn again. And so, as soon as the mountain was placed on Kurmadev, So below is Kurma, Lord. The Lord manifested 1,000-armed form because when you are churning, right, and you have only support from below, and there is intense pressure being manifested from both sides, you need to make sure that the mountain is stable. So you need some support from top also. Then only the actual churning can happen. So the Lord Himself sat on top and provided the support from above. So He is there below and He is there above also. Okay. So at that point, it is described in the 11th verse. Tatha suram avishada surena. Tatha suran avishad asurena. Rupena tesham balaviryam irayan.
Rupena tesham balaviryam irayan.
Uddipayan deva ganamscha Vishnu.
Uddipayan deva ganamscha Vishnu.
Daivena nagendra mabodha rupaha.
Daivena nagendra mabodha rupa.
So, the Lord saw the infrastructure is in place. Now after infrastructure, human resources have to be managed. Because the demons were saying, I'm not feeling inspired. My back is paining, my leg is paining, my this is that. You know, even if you have the best infrastructure. But to create impact, you need 5 things. Intention, inspiration, integrity, intelligence, intensity. So the Lord wanted to support. So He looked at the demigods and He saw, what do the demigods need? So the demigods, they move based on mode of goodness. So the Lord entered into the demigods as the mode of goodness. So that is described in the last line. Daivena. Daivena means Sattva Gun. Lord Vishnu entered into the demigods as Daivena Sattva Gun. Then He looked at the demons and then He thought, oh, they need inspiration based on mode of passion. So therefore, Avishat Asurena. So Asurena refers to mode of passion. So He injected mode of passion. He entered as the mode of passion within the demons. Then He looked at Vasuki. Everybody else was churning, but who was getting churned was Vasuki and the stomach. So Vasuki also needed power. Abodha Rupa, the last line. The Lord entered as the mode of ignorance within Vasuki. So the necessary inspiration, impetus, strength. So therefore it is described here, Rupena Tesham Balaviryam Irayan. Irayan means to stimulate. A project cannot succeed unless the human resource in that project has 2 things, strength and courage. Without strength and courage, you only have plans in the PowerPoint because the human resource doesn't have the power. So therefore, you need strength and you need courage. So that is described in 2 words. Bala is strength. Viryam is courage. Strength is the capacity, but it requires courage to bring that capacity out and take the risks. So therefore, if you are not courageous, you will simply be a complainer and criticizer. That's what is resorted by those who lack the courage to take risks and make things happen. Balaviriyam Irayan. So the Lord entered as mode of goodness into the demigods, mode of passion into the demons, as mode of ignorance into Vasuki. So that the second quality which the Lord demonstrates, apart from resourcefulness, is the Lord demonstrates He is indispensable. So if we are engaged in Krishna's service, if we are engaged in their Lordship service, we have to pray to them to enter into us. Only when they enter into us, we will be able to manifest the strength and the courage to make their service manifest and successful. Okay? So now we see that, let us come to verse number 13. You got it? 1-3. Upariyadhascha manigotra netrayoho parena te pravishata samedhita mamanturabdhim tarasa madotkata mahadrina kshobhita nakra chakram. So, when the Lord entered the demigods, so the Lord has now entered at all levels. He enters the demigods as Sattvagun, demons as Rajogun, Vasuki as Tamogun. He is under as Kurma, above as the 1,000-armed Vishnu form. He has entered the mountain as stability. So he is everywhere. And still we take credit. That's interesting. He's just everywhere. He's indispensable. So therefore, Mamanturabdhim tarasa madotkata. So tarasa means eager and madotkata means energetic. So it is the Lord's touch which actually creates eagerness and energy in any activity. So even you say, oh, this person is so successful, he's so driven. Arey Baba, that Rajogun is the Lord's energy. So you have to be able to see the Lord's energy. And so a devotee also needs to then accordingly recognize and pray for a specific kind of intervention by the Lord to empower us in a particular kind of service. So therefore, the Lord is indispensable. And then we find that here in verse number 15, the Devatas at that point and the demons had to hold Vasuki. So the Lord wanted to hold the head side and told the demons, you hold the tail side. They said, Ahir Pucham Amangalam. The tail side? We, the demons, we are always used to being the head. How can we hold the tail side? We need the head side. The Lord tried to reason with them, Baba, head side of Vasuki means what? So anybody who takes on the head side has to know in advance that that is the side where the poison is emitted the most. So if you can't handle that poison, don't try to grab the head side. or tried to be near the head side. So the expectations have to be clear. Which side are we handling? So sometimes tail side is safer. But they said, no, we have to be the head side. So they took it, and when the poisonous vapors started coming out, they got affected. And both the demigods and demons more, demigods less. But now the 13th verse describes that the devatas lost their strength by the breath of Vasuki. And their garments, garlands, weapons were blackened. So what did the Lord do? Bhagavat Vasha Ghana Babuhu. The Lord manifested clouds and He just poured rains to dissipate that poisonous vapor. So the third quality which the Lord manifested is personal care. Because the project may begin, but the human resources may be going through poisonous vapors. But you can't just look back and keep watching the show. You may have to intervene and make sure that necessary actions need to be taken to care for them. And at that point, as the churning continued, the next verse reveals, 16th verse reveals, that the Lord saw that in spite of being inside them as energies, having shared my energies with them, that means having given the human resource the necessary budget, still they are complaining. Still they are cribbing, writing long emails. So I have no choice. I have to enter into the project myself. So Lord Vishnu himself took one side of the journey and he started also. I am also slogging, okay? Not that I have only outsourced it to you. I am also doing this. I am also willing to go through this. So he started also personally churning. And at that time, as part of the churning, verse 18 describes, the first thing which came out of the churning was, what had happened was, as part of the churning, all kinds of plants were put in. So the plants had both auspicious and inauspicious plants, plants with nectar and plants with poison. So when the churning happened, the first thing which came out was the poison. So the poison is known as the halahal. So the acharyas explain it is either called halahal or halahal or halahal. All three ways. Either way you call it, it is poison only. So, verse number 19. Tadugravegam dishi dishi upari adho visarpadut sarpad asahyam aprati Bheta prajadud Gauranga sheshwara Arakshamana sharanam sada shivam Ugravegam, with great speed, that poison spread in all directions. Dishi dishi, upari adho, visarpat utsarpat, up and down. Asahyam, it was intolerable. Aprati, that poison had no cure. Bhetaha prajaha, people were, all the demons and demigods, they were in great fear. So at that time, Sa Ishvara, the demigods and demons looked at Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu said, hey, not me. I am not taking care of this. He said, who will take care? My servant. He has better skills than me in dealing with the poison department. He's always been the head of the department of poison. So therefore, let us approach him. Arakshamana, that as if he was totally without shelter. Sharanam Sadashivam. The Lord who gives shelter to all took shelter of Lord Shiva. Why? He wanted to give fame to his devotee, Lord Shiva. So the fourth quality the Lord demonstrates is dependence. So one of the ways in which Lord is described in the Bhagavatam is He is beautiful. Right? And what is one of the beauty of the Lord? The beauty of the Lord is He is willing to give credit to His devotees. When you are happy to share credit with others, that is a symptom of beauty. That is defined as beauty in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that was something which was extremely beautiful. So Srila Prabhupada would always have this quality. Humble, appreciated all, enthusiastic, recognized excellence. And fifth, he always gave creative freedom. And that is why he was so successful as a leader. So here we find that the Lord is giving credit to his devotee Shiva for this reason. That, oh, you can actually make this happen. So there is this pastime of a deity in Bhadrachalam, in the forests of Bhadrachalam in Andhra Pradesh, of Lord Ram. He was being taken care by one tribal lady. She was taking care of him in a very simple way. The local governor came there, a tax collector, and he saw that. And she approached him and said, "You are such a wealthy person. I am worshipping Lord Ram in the middle of the forest, in the middle of nowhere. You should build a beautiful temple for him, because you have so many resources." He said, "From where I will bring money?" "Hey, you are collecting so much money. Use some of that." He liked the idea. He said, "So what if I keep some amount for building a temple?" So he took out some money from the taxes he was collecting and built the temple. And when the governor saw the accounts, he found that the collector had given him some amount less than what was supposed to be. And then when he did investigation, he found out that some money has been used to build temple. So he got angry. He arrested the collector and put him in jail. When the collector was in jail, his name was Ramdas. He started criticizing Lord Ram. That, "What is this? I built a temple for you, although it was with funds not sanctioned. But still I built a temple for you. Still I am in jail. In that beautiful deity which I offered a whole gold emerald necklace, do you think Dasharath gave you?" "I gave it to you." That beautiful, pearl-studded dhoti, do you think you got as dowry from Sita? From Sita's family? "I gave it to you." And then he went on chastising Lord Ram. And then he said, "Do something about it. Otherwise people will lose faith in you." That night Ram and Lakshman appeared in the dream of that governor. And they were carrying bags. And they said to the governor in the dream, "You have put our collector in jail for that money which was due to you. This is the exact amount with which he used the temple. He used to build the temple. So please take this amount, release him. Otherwise he'll go on criticizing us." So the governor couldn't believe it. He got up and then he saw the actual bags with the amount. Exact amount. So he ran to this collector. He said, "Hey, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize your glories." He said, "What happened?" "Ram and Lakshman came and gave, the exact amount, repaying that loan," and he explained the whole dream. The collector Ramdas became even more angry. My dear Lord, I am doing the bhajan and you are giving darshan to him. What is going on? I am doing all the tapasya, he is getting all the mercy. So the Lord becomes completely conquered by his devotees' love. And he is always willing to give credit to his devotee. And that's how the whole Damodar Leela also. Evam sandarshita hyanga harina bhrityavashyata. The Lord comes under the control of his devotees' love. So the main reason why Lord Shiva was empowered is Lord wanted him to take the credit for this. Because whenever you take responsibility, you will be criticized. That criticism is like poison. If you criticize back, there will be conflict. If you allow that criticism to go deep inside your heart, you will lose your motivation. So you should not allow that criticism to either go deep inside nor throw it back. And you have to hold it in your neck. Like Lord Shiva. So therefore, at this point, Lord Shiva is approached by the demigods and the demons, and they offer several prayers. So all the way, right from verse 21 onwards, till verse 30, 31, they are offering the prayers. And then we will just recite one last prayer of 8-7-32. Says, Kamadhvara Tripura Kala Garadyaneka Bhutadruha Kshapayata Stutayena Tatte Yastvanta Kala Idamatma Kritam Swanetra Vahani Spulinga Shikhaya Bhasitam Naveda. So they are saying, my dear Lord, what is this drinking poison for you? Kama Advara. You have destroyed Daksha's sacrifice. You know Kamakhya temple in Assam. That's where Sati, that episode happened. So that's why Kama Advara. Tripura. You have destroyed city of Tripura. Kala Garadi. Many demons like Kala and Gara. Bhuta Druha. Aneka Bhuta Druha. You have a track record of destroying places of violence to living entities. You are an expert in that. So therefore, what is this drinking some poison? Nothing. And what to speak of that? What to speak of destroying poison? Atma Kritam Swanetra, from your eyes, from the third eye, Vahani Spulinga Shikhaya, a spark of fire comes from your third eye, which Antakala Idam destroys whole universe. And it happens in such an instant that even you are wondering how it happened. How did the universe get destroyed? It is so effortless for you. So someone who has a track record of destroying so many other places and destroying universe, what is destroying poison? There is nothing. And therefore, they say that in spite of this, verse 33, Ye tvatma rama gurubhir hriditim chitagri Dvandvam charantam umaya tapasa vitaptam. So in spite of being so powerful, my dear Lord, you are also misunderstood. People criticize you. as what? Criticize you, that you are just flirting with Uma, obsessed with cremation ground, you are ferocious, you are violent. Whereas the great souls worship you because they know you are always having the Lord within your heart. So how to respond to misunderstanding and criticism? Lord Shiva is criticized, misunderstood, but he decides to respond to all this misunderstanding and criticism by showing acts of selfless compassion. He doesn't bother to rebut each and every criticism with words. So the powerful give responses through their powerful acts. And so at this point, he, looks at his wife Bhavani and requests her to give him permission to drink this poison. So that is very important. So the 5 things I wanted to share in conclusion was, Lord Shiva has this purity of intention, but along with purity of intention, he decided to have the precision in communication. He communicates to Bhavani, his wife, that I am going to drink this poison. Okay. And then third, she has the perception capability. She is able to see that he can do what he is wanting to do. Fourth, she gives him the permission. And then, when the permission is there, then the powerful Lord Shiva engages in the powerful action. So when there is purity of intention, precision in communication, perception capability, permission granted, and then the powerful action happens, then there is pleasure for all parties. Otherwise Shiva could have said, with one of my spark I destroy whole universe. What is this? So Parvati would say, hey, you didn't take my permission. So sometimes powerful people do not have the patience to take permission. And that creates, misunderstanding. Instead of Atato Brahma Jigyasa, it becomes Bhayankar Jigyasa. And so as a result, Lord Shiva then places that poison within his neck, and that creates a blue line. And that is what is known as Nilakantha. So this is overall the context of this particular section of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that tapyante lokatapena sadhavo prayashutina param aradhanam taddi purushasaki. When we serve the Lord by showing compassion to others, we thus please the Lord. And that is the greatest welfare work which we can engage in. So thank you all very much for coming and joining this session and allowing me to speak a few words from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And hope this will inspire us to engage in welfare activity which is connected to the will of the Supreme Lord. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you again to His Grace, Gauranga Prabhu.